So what is going on, guys? It's your boy Mazia here, and today I wanted to bring you guys just a little bit of a short video. Of course, this is something that was going to be in my analysis, but I felt like it deserved its own video. Some people probably aren't going to feel that way, but I personally, this is my channel, so I'm going to say, in my personal opinion, I felt like this deserved a complete video to itself. So I was doing a little bit of looking around in the trailer for my analysis, and of course, I got to around the midway point of the trailer. Now, when I do my sort of look around of the trailers, I sort of go frame by frame. This gives me the opportunity to really do one form of just glancing over it, going by frame, then I can watch it again and then look at every frame individually, and that's kind of why my analysis take a little bit longer, but of course it helps me get anything that I potentially can. Now, I still miss stuff, but it helps me get anything that I potentially can a lot easier, rather than of course just watching the trailer over and over again and having to look between every fucking little scene and segment and shit in each trailer. So of course, as I was getting around the end point, I realized that Luxu is carrying a case. Of course, anyone can see that he was carrying a case, but what's going on with this case, Mozzie? There was nothing really in there. He's just walking in a desert-like area, which is obviously the Keyblade Graveyard. What's important about the case, dude? You can see what appears to be some type of engravings on this case, and it's so well hidden because, of course, him carrying a case, he talked about in, of course, the Chi finale that he's going to go off into the future. You would probably think this is just a few of his belongings, and he's probably just traversing the Keyblade Graveyard because he probably wanted to make sure that the war did transpire like the Master of Masters told him that it would. So, of course, you probably just thought that this was something that really had no true significance or no real significance towards Luxu's character or anything like that. But if you zoom in on it, what you see is the words, or the letter and the word, X Sapper. So X Sapper, it kind of sounds like it's going to be used as, of course, this thing is probably what, of course, happens to his Keyblade that we get to see in the Kingdom Hearts E3 2015 trailer, in which his Keyblade, the No Name, is actually inside of this thing and it's actually sealed there. Now, another thing about this, the X Sapper, is that, of course, if you look at the not the cover, it was probably potentially the cover back in the day, but of course around E3 season, but of course as we got closer and closer to the original release of the game for December, we probably got a different cover art to probably meet that same trend that Tetsuya Nomura had with the other bundled cases for 1.5 and 2.5. So of course, remember the little, poster that they had at E3, and of course they kind of had at other events as well. We get to see that same little thing, or that same little, thing that's in the E3 2015 trailer, but this time the characters are actually in front of it. And I've been talking about for a long time that potentially what's going to happen at the end of back cover is it's going to either be the Foretellers versus Luxu and the Master of Masters, Luxu versus the Master of Masters, or Luxu and the Foretellers versus the Master of Masters, or the Master of Masters and Luxu versus the Foretellers, any way, form, or fashion. But now I'm starting to believe, and this is actually something that was going to be in the theory that I talked about, or I touched on just a little bit in my actual reaction, that of course it's going to blow you guys' minds, because I believe that Luxu is now, of course, going to fight his father, the Master of Masters. Yes, you heard me right. He's going to fight his father, the Master of Masters. And the reason why I say he's his father is something that I'm going to touch on in the theory, but of course I'm just giving you guys little inklings and shit of what's going to be happening in that big ass theory. So he's going to fight his father, the Master of Masters, and the reason why he's carrying this X Sapper is because maybe he's going to sacrifice his Keyblade and of course steal his father's ability to use the X Blade, which is going to explain why Kingdom Hearts fell into the darkness. Maybe of course the Master of Masters was trying to open a door and Luxu struck him down, of course sealing the X Blade's power into his weapon and then putting his weapon into that thing, which would probably be the X Sapper, in which it would take all of its power and probably keep it from being used ever again as long as it was still encased in that thing. Now this is interesting because when you think about it, the Master of Masters and Xehanort seem to have the exact same plan. Xehanort wants to start a Keyblade war to get to the door of Kingdom Hearts, open the door, and get the knowledge that of whatever the hell Kingdom Hearts is, whatever the fuck he's trying to get from Kingdom Hearts, the knowledge that's in there. He wants some type of knowledge from Kingdom Hearts. I don't know what it is, but of course the Master of Masters seem to be kind of the same way. We've seen that, of course, he's kind of a scientist or alchemist of sorts, seen as he created the Charity in his hall, or in his of course in his study. You will see like a bunch of books, you'll see like a bunch of like, you know, stuff that you would see if someone was doing a science experiment and stuff like that. So obviously, I mean, a science lab, if you were in a science lab, you'll see a lot of that same kind of stuff as well. You see it even in this trailer, a lot of stuff that you would see in the science lab. So obviously the Master of Masters has some type of thirst for knowledge, and it seems like his son Luxu is actually going to do something about the future that the Master of Masters is trying to bring to the worlds. And this is even further supported by the finale. In the finale, Luxu actually states that, of course, you know, is it potentially possible that there could be something that could be done, but he says that maybe Ava can do something about it. But maybe what actually is going to wind up happening is, instead of leaving it to Ava, he may make the choice to do something about it himself. Now, one interesting thing to note, before this scene is even shown, we had the Master of Masters talking about, may your heart be your guiding key. Or in other words, do whatever you ultimately feel is right. And I feel like that's obviously supposed to be some type of elusive, of course, you know, kind of setting it up to where, you know, he's carrying the X-Sapper, he's talking about follow your heart and do whatever you ultimately feel is right. This is what Luxu feels like is ultimately right. I mean, he's still the only character that's going to go off into the future, of course, outside of the Dandelions. So he's carrying this X-Sapper, and he's about to, I guess you could say, seal off or kill his father, in the sense that, of course, he wants to protect the world from the fate his father would have brung had he opened the door to Kingdom Hearts. So let me know what you guys think about this, man. What do you guys think the X-Sapper is? It could be anything, to be honest, but I mean, so far from what we know, I feel like what I'm saying is probably the most accurate, but there could be people who think the X-Sapper could be something different. Maybe he's trying to get the power for himself. Maybe people think the X-Sapper is probably supposed to be some way for him to capture the Keyblade or the X-Blade and probably try and use it for himself. Maybe he just wants the power. Maybe, of course, this has something more so to do with Kingdom Hearts. The X-Sapper, maybe he's using some type of, you know, transformation of the Keyblade or some type of piece of the X-Blade to actually, you know, probably shoot a beam up to Kingdom Hearts and potentially, you know, blow it up or some shit like that. So there's a lot of things the X-Sapper could be, but I think that the X-Sapper has something to do with him trying to stop his father, who possesses the ultimate weapon in the Kingdom Hearts lore, the X-Blade, and this is why it's called the X-Sapper. And now you guys understand why I think this needed its own video. This has been your boy Mazia. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming, and everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-class, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. Peace the heck out.